Okay. This is Chapter 13 of Warriors Don't Cry. Negro girl is suspended from school after incident. Arkansas Gazette, Wednesday, December 18, 1957. My hopes for a blissful 2-week respite from Central High over Christmas vacation had been dashed by the dilemma we all faced because of Minnie Jean's suspension. By dumping the chili over the white boys' heads, whether accidentally or not, she had opened a door through which segregationist leaders announced they would eject all of us. It was the beginning of the end of Little Rock school integration, they said. Immediately, cards and flyers appeared all over town, reading 1 nigger down, 8 to go. Her suspension notice stated that Minnie Jean could not begin the process to apply for readmission until 6 school days had passed. Classes would resume on January 3rd of the new year. So instead of the peaceful, happy, safe Christmas vacation I had dreamed of for months, I was embroiled in integration meetings and worried. It was that nagging kind of problem that stays at the back of your mind no matter what else is going on. Will they or won't they let Minnie Jean back in school? And if they don't, what will it mean to the rest of us? As I entered the living room early one evening, Grandma was setting up the manger scene, gingerly placing each of the crudely carved wooden figures that had been handed down from her mother. She wouldn't allow any of us to help her for fear we'd drop a piece. With that, all her baking and decorating and gift-making, this was her favorite time of the year, next to spring planting. I took a deep breath and sank into the couch, waiting for Mother Lois to get dressed for a party we were going to attend to honor the Little Rock Nine. Where are you going? Conrad asked. Mama and I are going to a grown-up Christmas party, I answered. I didn't want to make too much of it because I figured he was beginning to feel left out. With all of the fuss being made over me in newspapers and magazines, and now a party planned in our honor. The National Organization of Delta Sigma Theta, a professional women's sorority, had decided to give us a Christmas party at the Dunbar Community Center. It was the first time some of my own people were saying a public thanks to us. It lightened some of the pain I felt for all those who were critical of our going to Central. As I entered the community center, sorority women showing off their high fashion and high spirits greeted us as though we were very important. They had made us their secret project, with members of the nationwide organization mailing gifts and loving notes from across the country to be presented to us that evening. I was bursting with pride as people said nice things about my courage and about what we 9 were doing for future generations who would be able to attend integrated schools. It wasn't the kind of party where you have teenage fun, but it was wonderful just the same, especially because I had so few opportunities to socialize. Minnie Jean's suspension was mentioned only in passing. Despite that worry, we 9 enjoyed one another as friends once outside the pressure we shared at Central High. We compared our gifts, of course. My favorite was a carved mahogany jewelry box. I'll keep this forever and give it to my grandchildren, I thought to myself as I carefully placed it on the nightstand beside my bed later that evening. In my diary I wrote, Tonight I feel love from my own people. Everybody tried to make us happy. There is the tiniest flicker of hope and joy inside me. Maybe things will work out. Please, God, won't you allow Minnie Jean to come back to school just this once? I promise I'll help her be stronger. Christmas Eve was delightful as we sat sipping hot chocolate and wrapping gifts to place under the tree. Each of us traded a personal gift. If during the year one of us coveted something that belonged to another, we might get the temporary loan of that item for January of the new year. We especially looked forward to those gift notes in our stockings. For example, I was thinking about granting Conrad the privilege of using my stereo twice a day for 1 month. But I wasn't certain I could be that generous, so I wrote maybe on my note to him. Vince called to say he would come by on Christmas, with Mother's permission. The thought of our being together near the tree on that special day, listening to carols, really sparked romantic daydreams. But as always, my daydreams were so much better than the reality of being with him, because we now had very little in common. He still spent most of our time together questioning me about Central and teasing me about being a celebrity. Later that evening, Papa Will came by to bring his presents. I hadn't seen much of my father since the integration began, but this time he was in a good mood. He didn't bother to say, I told you so, even though his awful predictions about integration causing trouble had for the most part come true. He was pleasant and genuinely concerned. The best part was the surprise he had hidden on the front porch, a brand new television set with a big screen. He had chosen a special small gift for each of us. The fact that he put lots of time and thought into the gift selection made me feel that despite the way he had behaved, maybe he really did love me. He and Mama looked at each other fondly for just an instant. and it felt as though we were a family again. I sometimes prayed they would get back together. At first, Conrad and I had hoped against hope. As the years passed, we watched them grow apart in odd ways that made us sad. Rumors around church were that Papa even had a girlfriend now. But just for an instant, Conrad and I eyed each other, both thinking how nice it would be if he stayed. Maybe they would go with us to the family dinner and announce they were getting back together. But then Papa looked at his watch, cleared his throat, and off he went. Dear Diary, it's Christmas Eve and Papa's not coming home to stay. For 9 Christmases now I've prayed he would be with us. Maybe it's not going to happen. Could I please have a nice new stepfather? Thy will be done. By next Christmas, either I want things to be a lot better at Central or I want to be somewhere else. Please, God. Merry Christmas. Christmas dinner with the family was the biggest occasion of the year, a time when we spent the day catching up on family, love, and bloodline gossip, as Grandma called it. We were 27 laughing, chatting people. I had waited all year to see all the relatives who weren't at Thanksgiving. Even though all of them had definite opinions about my adventures at Central High, I had vowed not to talk about it, no matter what it took. I wanted to pretend my life was normal again. I wanted the feeling of Christmas before integration. By late evening, as we sat in front of the fire singing Christmas carols, I realized maybe I had my wish. I hadn't felt that content since the summer before Cincinnati. Little Rock Story second on AP's best list, Arkansas Gazette, Sunday, December 29, 1957. The stories range from number 1, the launching of Sputnik, to President Eisenhower's stroke and the passage of the Civil Rights Bill. How strange, I thought, to be involved in something that the whole nation considers among its 10 most important stories. If it's that important, you'd think somebody would be able to do something to make the Central High students behave themselves. Is it that nobody cares, or nobody knows what to do? By New Year's Eve, I only thought about Central High perhaps every other hour. Vince had invited me to a party, but of course Grandma and Mama said no. Besides our famous shadows, Mutt and Jeff were parked across the street, faithful as hound dogs in their vigilance. Although we discussed reporting them to the police, we knew full well that might bring on more trouble, so we simply lived with their being there, watching us. Mother didn't like my coming and going at night, even when the party was in my neighborhood. Only on rare occasions did any of us go out after dark. Once dusk came, we locked all the doors and windows and closed the curtains. So on New Year's Eve, I sat home, completing my list of New Year's resolutions. 1. To do my best to stay alive until May 29th. 2. To pray daily for the strength not to fight back. 3. To keep faith and understand more of how Gandhi behaved when his life was really hard. 4. To behave in a way that pleases Mother and Grandma. 5. To maintain the best attitude I can at school. 6. To help Grandma India with her work. 7. To help Minnie Jean remain in school to be a better friend to her.